Hey femmes, men's, and NBs, I'm Jackie. Today, we're discussing how Glimmer, from Netflix's She-Ra, is accidentally one of the most inspiring figures in all of cartoon history. And I know that's kind of a bold statement, but I think she does a surprisingly good job at, from a narrative standpoint, basically everything. And I didn't realize that until I was talking to somebody else, after my 18th watch through. I've collectively spent over 300 hours watching She-Ra. And I never realized how good Glimmer was because, I'll be honest, I was distracted by all the other characters. All the characters in She-Ra are so good that they reach a point where they're starting to overshadow each other in various aspects. I didn't really like Glimmer's personality. It's just like a me. I find her very abrasive and not polite, but her rugged attitude does not take away from her ability to show how much she cares about the other characters, unlike other characters. Ugh, Catra. Anyways, some central conflicts in Glimmer's life are her overprotective mom, perpetually holding her back, as well as her powers, or lack thereof. I mean, obviously teleportation is OP in any setting, plus she has these little laser blasts, but there's several times throughout the show where Glimmer's abilities don't really cut the butter and She-Ra has to bail her out. It's really sad that Glimmer wants nothing more than to prove herself that she's a capable individual who doesn't need to be coddled, but then she needs her warrior bodyguard to bail her out regularly. I think this is one of the reasons why episode 5, Seagate, was such an incredible episode for Glimmer. She got to exercise her diplomatic skills, preparing herself for her role as future queen. She learned how to rally and inspire those around her, which was displayed particularly well with her scene with Seahawk. And then miscellaneous leadership stuff. One of the biggest aspects of leading is placing people in a position where they can succeed, and then helping them get to that role and ensuring that they continue to succeed. Because as a leader, their success is your success. Glimmer has demonstrated that throughout all of season 1. We can see this contrasted with Adora, who was not only trained to be a leader, but awarded Force Captain rank. When Glimmer was held captive in Fright Zone, the Princess Alliance nearly crumbled under Adora's leadership. Well, it did afterward. But the interesting part is Adora has had more formal training in leadership, whereas Glimmer is hot-headed with limited experience, but she still succeeded. Glimmer wanted to succeed so desperately that she makes each situation work. She thinks smart. She figures out how the best way to make everybody work together and make all the princesses all happy. Ambition alone doesn't make somebody a successful leader, which Glimmer learns that the hard way in season 4. Power comes with responsibility, as the saying goes, but responsibility comes with mistakes, and that is followed by making amends for those misdeeds. In season 5, Glimmer doesn't really do a good job of making amends for nearly blowing up the planet, but maybe that's just my perspective because I also don't feel like all the characters, I don't think the redemption arcs are that good. I'm probably nitpicking, but anyway, Adora doesn't really want leadership throughout the show. She just wants to feel valued by those around her. Glimmer is not limited by an inner conflict like this. Her mother and her lack of power is what holds Glimmer back. When Glimmer becomes queen in season 4, she feels smothered by her royal duties. In every single season, Glimmer is being shackled by something beyond her control, and she has to figure out smart ways to deal with it and break free of the restrictions placed on her. For Adora, she just had to fight whatever evil was in their path and, make some emotional discoveries about the power of friendship. Bo was sort of the lovable sidekick who just went along with everything they went with. But the majority of conflicts in the show revolved around Glimmer. Now, that sounds weird, so let me explain. While Adora just smashes through all of her problems with brute strength, and then eventually Catra confesses her feelings, Adora's arc tested her body more than her mind. While both are true for Glimmer, she's had her moments of vulnerability, crying inconsolably, but emotions don't hold her back like Adora and Catra. Glimmer always learned and becomes better with each obstacle, growing across the series. I like how the show handles this, straight up making Glimmer the villain in some episodes as a way to make her overcome more problems. I like Adora as a character, I like her struggles, but Glimmer was the one constantly facing issues with the most dire consequences because she didn't have the power of a literal goddess to fall back on if things got hot.
I need this mission to go right or my mom will never give me another one!
Shadow Weaver did something to your powers.
I got into a fight with Bo and he won't want to be friends with me anymore and I don't know where Scorpia is!
So focused on finding you, he never actually worked through all his stuff.
Well, what do I do?
I'm gonna be honest, for a while, I read Glimmer's desire for authority as a negative character trait because I believe that people in power simply want to abuse it. In my mind, Glimmer just wanted to become another selfish politician, and that true virtue comes from not wanting the power, which this is kind of touched on in the Kuvira video because that was Kuvira's issue with her mom. And after doing the Kuvira analysis and then looking at Glimmer, I'm like, oh, I was just looking at it wrong. Playing the game and jockeying for a role in the military to increase her status was not it. Upon looking at Glimmer's character more deeply, you know, like I said, Glimmer's doing the same things that Kuvira did. Glimmer doesn't want power to have it. She wants it because she knows nobody else will put in the effort to make the world a better place like she will. In Kuvira's place, the show decided that the villain needed to actually be a villain, so they retconned her between episodes 6 and 7 into basically Hitler, which had similar thoughts about Glimmer in season 4, but they used their powers in a way that they believed was good for everyone, even if it was violent, but you know, war is violent. So why would they restrain themselves with peaceful solutions when you can brute force a positive one? If Glimmer wanted to be a standard good girl archetype, she would have fallen in line and did whatever her mom said and just waited for an opportunity to prove herself. But instead, she followed her own moral code, obeying orders she felt were correct and ignoring the ones that she thought were wrong. She didn't wait for an opportunity to prove her worth. She went out there and let the world know Princess Glimmer of Brightmoon will put an end to the evil horde with her ragtag group of princesses. This makes her a really interesting hero. She-Ra could have followed a very cookie-cutter approach with a socially great character traits, but the writing staff intentionally chose to have Glimmer fight tooth and nail for not just what she believed in, but simply for the opportunity to fight in the first place, even if it means fighting her own family and friends. In a way, her behavior and attitude is a lot like Korra's, but better. The issues with Avatar Korra were she shirked her duty, demanded respect, but behaved like a degenerate, whereas Glimmer doesn't care about respect, wants more duties, and doesn't seek personal freedom, but the freedom for everyone else. What took Korra 4 seasons to learn is something Glimmer started off the show understanding. Most of Glimmer's arcs were just things she needed to learn to become a better person so she could be more effective, compassionate ruler later on. She-Ra is a coming-of-age story about a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds growing into adulthood and the emotional journey that goes along with facing the world as you are and all the struggles and fears and interactions that take place over the 4 years that it takes to really understand yourself as a person and what you need to be for society to flourish. Glimmer isn't good in a conventional sense. She's a hero. She regularly puts her own well-being on the line for everyone else, regardless of other people's opinions, which is expected, but what separates herself from other heroines is that she doesn't care if anyone approves of her methods. This gives Glimmer so many leadership conflicts that spawn into the show completely on their own. One of the things I value in a character is how enjoyable they are to have on screen. Glimmer, well, I don't really like her personality that much. She contributes a hell of a lot to the show. It's thanks to Glimmer that Adora could join the rebellion. It's thanks to Glimmer that the Princess Alliance was formed. It's thanks to Glimmer that Shadow Weaver became a member of the Princess Alliance. It's thanks to Glimmer that Catra had a chance for redemption. This show is about Adora going along with Glimmer for the ride of saving the world. It's true that Adora did a lot of the fighting with her She-Ra powers, but with or without She-Ra, Glimmer was doing her best to save the world and fight for what she believed in, independent of whether or not she had an 8-foot-tall warrior lady to help her do it. I love how in season 5, Glimmer and Kat are able to just like sit down and just vibe in each other's company, even though they've been the ones leading the war against each other for the past 4 years. Glimmer didn't hold a grudge against Catra over the past. Despite all the pain she's caused, Glimmer learned that Catra, despite doing evil things, is not an evil person and works to help her. The maturity it takes to look your arch nemesis in the eyes and help them work through their mental baggage is kind of insane. And I know we're talking about a cartoon character here, but still, Glimmer is goated and I judged her way too harshly in the past. Yeah, Glimmer appreciation video. Thank you for listening. Check out my other She-Ra videos. Make sure you subscribe for more and I will see you in the next one. Peace.